Hi everyone, welcome back. It's cold today. We've actually had a little bit of snow, would you believe? And it's just a little flurry here in Bournemouth. But whether it'll come out to something, we don't know. But anyway, we'll see. All right, I'm a bit peaky today. I'm a bit tired. This will be the start of my day 4 of doing 4 p.m. to 2 a.m.s, so I'm really tired. Last night we finished about an hour and 20 minutes overrun for various reasons. So I was on a PSV yesterday, so because I was the only ESA oh, I told you I was tired. Emergency Care Assistant, ECA, last night, and I had the great honour and privilege to have one of the fire crews with me as a colleague, who knows, life support, CPR, and that sort of thing. And really enjoyable conversations with them about what, their side of things, what happens when they get calls, and what their worries are, and what their funny times were, and it was really lovely chappy. So we only had 3 calls last night. Thankfully, because I was so tired. The first one we had called to a category 1, which is like the most important call, and it said child, 4-year-old child in cardiac arrest. So straight away think, oh my crikey, we're on our own. You have backup, of course, but we went down there, blue lights, met the RVOO and another crew down there. Thankfully, it wasn't that. It was a child who basically had a febrile convulsion, but still quite serious. It's quite scary for the mum, scary for him, and scary for us as well, or for me personally. But that was okay. We took the kiddie to the hospital, and as far as I understand, everything's okay. But it just makes you feel that as soon as you have that Cat 1 call and it's a paediatric thing, oh my gosh, this is like my personal fear and worry, is when you have a child call for that seriousness. Then we waited a little while, and then the second call came in as a Cat 1 as well. Or it might have been a Cat 2 going to Cat 1, I can't remember. And this one was to a 91-year-old lady, and the carers call up to say that this lady had just been sick, vomited, and she was going kind of blue, and they needed help, and her breathing was a bit strange, they said. So my colleague and I, again, blue lights blazing, we were the only ones around at the time, so we called up control saying, do you realise we are a PSV, an ECA, and a fire crew combination. Yep, that's fine. That you'll have another crew over there backing you up within a few minutes. So we get down there, and the first thing in my head was like, if he's vomiting and going blue, we've got potentially a cardiac arrest, or maybe a hypoxic, the blue, because she's not having enough oxygen. But yeah, all these things go through your mind. So I thought the most important thing is got to remember your very basics, your airway breathing. Got out of the vehicle, and it was really cold outside. It must have been about 11 o'clock last night. We've got all the bags. Every single bag we can think of that we would need, and then the para would need probably afterwards when they come along, including suction and everything else. Go into this property. 2 very young carers, bless them, were there, maybe in their 20s, and they just started with this patient to look after them. And the patient was lying down in her bed and going like this. I thought, oh, okay, so we've got, you know, looking at airways, making sure it's not blocked or anything like that. And she looked awful, absolutely awful. Lie down, head back, make sure she had nothing stuck in her throat that we could see. Slapped on the obs, excuse me, the post-pulse ops to check her stats, and they were not good, you know, and she was going like blue, so gave us oxygen. As we were trying to sort her out, the young carer and her colleague was there, as I said, and there was a language barrier. But what we got from her and what we got from the paperwork is that this lady was end of life. She was DNR. She had terminal lung cancer, and palliative care, basically. So if something happened to her in the way of her heart stopped, we were not allowed to, looking at the DNR, we weren't allowed to restart it with a defib. And it reminded me of how it was very, very close to home, because my mother-in-law went the same way. And so I recognised all the signs of end-of-life breathing. She basically used agonal breath. And her rests were getting slower. And I got my colleague to put the ECG on just to, you know, as a matter of course anyway. Excuse me. And her heart was, I can't remember what heart was doing. It was, I think she had right bundle as well, but it was all over the place. Not from what when the paramedics came in, she wasn't in cardiac arrest or anything, but it was not correct for her. Anyway, so they came through, they took over. I continued making sure there's oxygen there, talking to the carers. We got the next of kin details. The paramedic contacted the next of kin, saying, you know, you should be here as soon as, really, because we were noticing that the lady was dying. It was her, you know, end of time. And the next of kin said they'll be there in the hour, but we knew it was going to be a lot sooner than that. And we just made her comfortable, carried on with the oxygen, kept on talking to her. My colleague was one side holding her hand, I was on the other side holding her other hand, and you know, stroking her hair and saying, you know, if you want to sleep, you can sleep, and you know, don't worry, your your family members are coming over soon. Your room's looking lovely, and you know, just trying to, whether she could hear me or not, I don't know, because her eyes were like, I think, fixed at 3, and then you know, her rests were going really, really slowly, and the para said that she's in PEA, so it was like a pulseless, you know, heart basically, and then she was asystole and she died. That really got me. When I was in there, I was a bit like choky a little bit, because it's, like I said, it's very similar to what my mother-in-law, who was very, very close to. So the paras that came and backed us up, they took over, so they did all that. I went back to the vehicle, had a bit of a cry, went back to the station. My OO was there, and it's amazing what a cup of tea, a couple of biscuits, you know, chocolates, I think I had, or Jaffa cakes or something. But when you've had a sad, you know, a sad end of a patient shift, it's you need to talk it out, you know, even, and it's not that you're weak at all, it's just you're human, you know, you've got a heart, and I've got a big heart. So yeah, so that was really, really hard for me. So I went back to station, and bless them, control were very, very good to us. We didn't have another one until about an hour afterwards, which was our last one, and it was for a lady who had a full-on non-injury. So I thought, you know what, this is actually good for me, because it's completely away from what happened before, and so try to be as fresh as possible for this patient, because obviously each patient doesn't know that what you've had in the past, you know, what the one beforehand was. And so a colleague and I rocked up to this this flat, and the neighbour answered the door, and she was a wizened old lady, you know, really sort of very frail, and she said, oh, I can't get her up. I thought, oh, bless you. I said, what's happened? Oh, she's just slipped to the floor. So she apparently, this patient, we found her, she sat next to the bed, or her back to the bed, pillows propped up, she's got a duvet around her, because the neighbour who, you know, who came in gave her a hot water bottle as well. And she said, I'm ever so sorry, but I've kind of slipped off the bed. I said, but you, really? Oh yeah, well, I was trying to go back to bed, you know, get my getting her walker, and she just literally put her bottom on the bed and just very gracefully slipped to the floor. But because she hadn't got the strength in her arms, and her legs are quite large, to get up, and her neighbour, bless her, she tried, and she said, I just haven't got the muscle. So it was really good. So my in a way of like completely disassociating from the past, the last patient. So after a quick check of blood pressure to make sure that, you know, nothing untoward had happened, like and she had fainted, and we definitely didn't have a faint. We didn't lose consciousness. We didn't hit our head. It was literally just slipped off, just gently glided to the ground. We got her on her feet, onto a walker, and she said, right, okay, I'm going to the bathroom. Okay, because we need to see her mobilised anyway. As always, if we're going to leave a patient behind, you need to always see them mobilised, and then we have a plan if we can't. So then she charges along in a little walker, and she said, oh, I'm gonna make a cup of tea. Do you want a cup? No, fine, thank you very much. Got some paper. Okay. Oh, I've got to get my hot water bottle done. I've got to go to the bathroom. So she's really happy walking around, and my colleague and I just sort of smiled at each other. I think this is perfect. And it's really late at night, and I said, are you going to go back to bed then? Yeah. Well, she let yourself out afterwards and put the key through the door. So, you know, lovely trust and everything, which is great. So you have to make sure that you never ever breach the trust of the patient. So if you're going to say you're going to be there for an hour or however, just do paperwork, you make sure that you are gone and you leave everything as it was, and everything's locked up. It's common sense, really. So I sat there and I thought, I've not done a validation for a very, very long time. You know, you validate if you are leaving someone behind, and you do that as an ECA and as an NQP as well for the first 2 years, which basically means you have your paperwork checked by another paramedic who's a validator at the time, and they'll tell you whether, yes, they're happy for you to leave that person behind, or no, they should actually take them to hospital. So I had to make sure my paperwork was spotless. It took me over an hour to write it up. Lucky I've got my keyboard, so I was actually quite happy to type it up. And then I've forgotten how to validate, so I had to phone up and said, oh, sorry, which button do I need to do for this, and how did I do that? So that was great, you know, that if you don't know something, just always call a friend. And got it validated, and we switched everything off and made sure she was tired. The door was shut and she was, you know, fine. So left it, and locked up with the key through the door of the neighbour, and came home. And after that, I was so tired this morning. I didn't think I slept very well at all. So I came home about 3:30, something like that. I was up at 7 to take the kids to school. so and then I came home again, and I had maybe 2 hours sleep. So this is why I'm like perky this morning, or this afternoon, I should say. But yeah, this is the last day of 4. So yeah, that did me good. That last job with that lady did me really good. It sort of helped me go through the last one and concentrate on something completely different, which is what sometimes often you need. So always it's difficult not to merge one job into another and bring the feelings from the last job into the next one, for either good or bad, but you have to try if you can. And it's extremely difficult not to take things home again, especially if it affects you in a certain way. So if it does affect you, you need to obviously talk it out, and sometimes it can stay with you for a few days. Like I said in a couple of videos back, with that MI chappie, he that stayed with me for a while as well, and this lady probably would do as well. I'll probably remember her face for a while, and because it is so close to home. But tonight I think we're gonna have a cold night, that's for sure. Yeah, because when we left that lady with who died, when we opened the door, I remember seeing flakes as the first snow, and I thought that was almost like a lovely send off, in that sense. So yeah, it's gonna be a cold night tonight. But anyway, that's me jabbering around. I've got work to do. I'm still 45 minutes early anyway, so, but I thought I'd make a little video for you guys anyway and see the other side of things as well. But yeah, stay safe everyone, drive carefully, make sure that if it is snowing where you are, obviously watch your speed and watch your corners and things. And even if you're on blue lights, it doesn't mean to say you have to go clappers down the road, because you can be on blue lights and you can be even under the speed limit. It's just showing you that people that you can go through. You're just meeting your requirements for that job. All right, take care. Talk to you later on. Bye bye for now.